Welcome back to another episode of the Carbon Cardboard Podcast covering the Formula One card hobby. I'm your host, Bryan, Q3 Cards, joined as always with my good friend Scott from the P1Castle.
What's going on, everyone? Race week.
Race cheek or whatever the raw cheek. That's
yeah.
raw. Wow. Yeah, Scott, this is the time of recording to peel back the curtain for a little bit. Both you and I just watched FP1 in Melbourne, and
That's right.
I have to say, my friend, if you missed the announcement, F1 TV is a favorite of the P1Castle.
That's
right. At least P1Castle grading, anyways. The Pro upgrade, the 4K broadcast, just chef's kiss. Just phenomenal.
Yeah, premium is really nice because it adds like the multi-view as well, because I know a lot of people used to use like the multi-viewer, kind of like the third party thing. So now you've got crisp video quality, you've got multi-view, you can use more devices. So now I can let more of my family leech off my subscription. So
only two devices though. It actually
only
knows
two devices can use what?
The account. So I had my Apple TV. They gotta figure out Google TV. Like I have like a TV on the other side of the store here, and it's a Sony. I can't get F1 TV on it at all. So another TV in the house. I have an Apple TV box. I have it on my phone just in case I happen to be out and about. And then I also had it on an iPad, and it knew that I had more than two devices logged in, and it's like you got to log out of one to get it. I'm like,
two. I could have sworn it was four, and that with premium you get six.
Maybe I got shafted. I'll have to look at that.
Maybe someone's on your account and you don't know it.
Ooh. Gremlins.
Maybe Letty and TC.
They're
leeching up your old account. I'm just kidding.
Just kidding, guys.
Yeah. I've got a smart TV though, which it's terrible. By the way, I hate my smart TV. It's awful. And we actually need to get a new one. But one of the good things about it is it does have F1 TV. So I haven't tried the new premium on it because I generally watch it on my computer because I'm down here doing a bunch of stuff. But I had it on my computer. I had my phone up with the map, and then I had 3 screens with my computer, and I had on one screen I had like a bunch of different multi-views. On one screen I had the main view. Yeah, so I was oh man, I tell you what, I'm just so excited, man. We are back in the season. Oh, this is what I live for. You know, I know we do the card hobby and I do breaking and everything for a living, but man, when the season is going on, this is why I do what I do. And it's amazing. Even FP1 is so exciting. And I'm sure as we get later into the year, FP1 sessions will stop being quite as exciting. But man, it was awesome to see. And now I'm so pumped to see FP2 representative, times. Man.
The long runs. Yeah, we do focus on the cards. I mean, we in the past, in the first year or so, we did kind of half and half, but we definitely do, focus more on the cards. I got to ask you a couple things that kind of stuck out to you. I have a couple things as well, but I mean, just biggest surprise, I think, and it is a practice session, but I mean, it's our first like true on track viewing. What stuck out to you the most?
I mean, I feel like obviously like the easiest thing that sticks out is Behrman in the wall, right? So Behrman, the only rookie to crash, but this is kind of what happens when Haas doesn't give him extra testing time for the year. But yeah, so Behrman in the wall, Russell just barely kept it out of the wall. Nice little 360. Williams looks really fast. A lot of teams, drivers look like they're in the mix. I mean, it's tough, right? FP1, it's rarely ever representative, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the rookies look good. Liam Lawson is way down there, so we'll have to see if he can pick it up in FP2. The Sauber does not look good at all. But yeah, those are probably my main takeaways.
It was it was weird, kind of cool to see Hammy in the Ferrari officially.
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
say my biggest surprise, I think, is Carlos Sainz. The fact that he was about at one point half a second faster than Albon, and like you said, the Williams does look quicker than last year. It
oh
could
yeah.
be completely different in FP2, but the fact that both Williams were essentially kind of on the same run plan. That I mean, I'm I think Signs could be a regular in the top 10.
Yeah. I mean, I think realistically, right, it's like the top four, right? And those should take up 8 spots. And then you would imagine it's like the Williams and the Alpine, those four drivers kind of battling for those last 2 spots. And yeah, I think Signs is a good bet for those. Yeah. And who knows?
Williams is going to be kind of like my dark horse favorite team this year.
There we go.
I think that's who I'm going to be rooting for a lot.
Yeah, listen, I love it. It's good to see Williams make a sizable step up, and it's also just we've seen Williams look good in testing, Williams look good in FP1. Now we got to see what they look like in FP2, and then ultimately, qualifying in the race. But yeah, right now they're looking pretty good. So I'm
And
interested, and it'll be a good battle.
It will, and to tie it back to the cards, immediately on track results, people love they love a winner, but they also love undervalue, and those are things that we'll talk about as the season unfolds. We're not going to talk values after one practice session.
But I think that will be one of the biggest matchups in terms of those specific drivers' values of cards, right? Because I would say Albon and Sainz relatively similar card values. Sainz generally a little bit higher just because he was wearing the Ferrari suit and he was at the front getting wins. But whoever wins that battle, will be good for their cards, and whoever loses is probably going to suffer. But we'll have to see.
All right, let's dig into this. Let's get this episode kicked off 7.5 minutes in. So what are we going to talk about? We got your exciting season-long event that you're going to be running. So we're going to talk about that momentarily. Yeah. Cover some hits and some breaks. So just in general, hopefully maybe a shorter episode. We got a lot of good feedback, Scott, about the long form. I know AJ specifically, Hammer Time Hits. Shout out, he's getting really close to launching his stream on Whatnot. So we'll look forward to that and give him a proper shout when that drops. But speaking of breakers and whatnot, a new addition to the affiliate breaker program for the P1Castle.
That's right. Yep, P1Castle affiliate family is growing, and we've added the Formula Queen, aka Caitlin Frisbee. So it's funny because I've already gotten messages about it. It's like, my wife is the queen of the castle. Now we've got the Formula Queen in the castle, affiliates at the castle and the queen and everything. So I'm sure that won't be confusing at all. But yeah, really happy to have Caitlin on board. It's funny because Caitlin, obviously, if you're in the F1, at least the F1 like breaking kind of part of the hobby, Caitlin, right? Like she's probably the most consistent K-Mag buyer with basically everybody. She's got a huge K-Mag collection, tons of one-of-ones, dynasties, super fractures, you name it. So she's got a massive K-Mag collection. She also has a little, I put a little teaser in there. She's got a little Simply Lovely collection as well. But she's been a collector for a long time. She wanted to, get into breaking. We actually talked about it for a while, gave her some tips and everything, helped her kind of, get set up and stuff. And she's been really successful at it already, kind of just starting out, early this year. She's already done a great job. She has a huge break coming up. Be sure to hop in that. Tons of spots are gone already. She's running 2 cases of Sapphire. I think she's also doing some Chrome as well. But it's gonna be massive break. She's giving away an insane amount of stuff. Legos, like bobbleheads, mini cars, tons of cards, everything. So it'll be really fun. I think that's Sunday. So it'll be sometime, well after the race, obviously, because that's in the middle of the night. But So Sunday is going to be a huge break for the Formula Queen. Make sure to check her out. We'll be posting kind of all of her breaks that are P1Castle affiliate breaks up on the page. So you'll see here on the affiliate page. And yeah, really looking forward to helping her grow her brand and continue growing the P1Castle affiliate family.
Yeah, congratulations, Caitlin. Definitely very deserving.
Absolutely.
All right, Scott. Next up, we are going to cover the exciting event that you've got coming up this year in the P1 Castle.
Yeah, so this is the 2025 driver matchup confidence pick'em. So what this is essentially every single race week, there's going to be a matchup between drivers. This first week for the Australian Grand Prix, each driver is going against their teammate. But it's going to change every single week. You'll see Lewis Hamilton against, Bortoleto and Lawson against Hadjar, and just like there'll be every single different type of matchup, but there'll always be 10 unique matchups, 20 drivers every week. And you will pick which driver you think is going to be classified ahead of the other in the race, right? So it's just the race, doesn't matter. Qualifying doesn't necessarily matter, but it's just the race. And then you assign a points value, right? So you pick who you think is going to win. And then on the next slide, it shows you assign a points value. So you pick 1 through 10, and you can only use every value once. So each week you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you get to use those numbers one time. So the matchup that you're the most confident of, you'd want to put your 10, and you're the matchup that you're not really sure, it's kind of a coin toss, you'd probably want to go with your 1. And that's kind of how it works in general. And now every single race week, we're going to be taking submissions through SurveyMonkey. We're going to have it in our bio every single week. And whoever comes in first, whoever gets the most points, will win $100 in break credit. And now if we do, in the event of a tie, we'll just do like a randomizer or something. But this is going to be really fun because this is like one of the reasons fantasy football and things like that are so exciting and so engaging for folks, is it gives fans other things to root for instead of just your favorite team, just your favorite player, right? In this case, instead of just your favorite driver and team and worried about, who's going to win the race, you are going to get to, decide and have, some skin in the game, so to speak, on all these different matchups. Like normally, would you really care? Like, okay, it's Albon against Hulkenberg. Like, you'd never really think of that matchup. But in this case, that might be a matchup that's going to be in our confidence pool and is going to mean something to you. So again, race 1 matchups for the 2025 Australian Grand Prix is going to be every teammate is against their driver. So that's how we're starting the race here. And then every single week, those are going to change. But I'm actually gonna scroll over here and I'm going to do an example quickly because I want people to know, how to fill these things out. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And this worked before we started recording, so hopefully it works while we're recording. All right. I'm sharing, so Brian's just going to throw it in there. Okay, perfect. So here we go. So again, we've got confidence pick'em race matchups. I'm just going to zoom in so everybody can see. There we go. Okay, so this is what you're going to see when you go on the link in SurveyMonkey. So the first one, Charles Leclerc versus Lewis Hamilton. Okay, you think, okay, maybe, I'm feeling Lewis Hamilton. He's coming in, he's vibing. I like, him with Ferrari. I'm going to go with Lewis, but I'm not really, really sure. So I'm going to give him a 2. I think, my confidence value is a 2. Now for this one, I'm thinking hometown hero. He's going to get it done. But again, Lando Norris, he's tough competition. So we're going to give a 3, a little bit lower. Now this one, Max Verstappen, Liam Lawson, you got to think Max is going to come in here. We're going to give this one a 9. We're very confident that Max is going to beat Liam Lawson. Up next, we got George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. Kimi Antonelli's great, but it's going to take him some time to bet in the season. We're going to go with George Russell, and we're going to give him a confidence value of 7. We're pretty confident that he's going to get the job done. Now, we're going to go with Jack Doohan in this one. You want to try to pick some upsets every now and then, and we think this is an upset. We actually have this as our castle call. We're going to go with Jack Doohan, but we're not very certain about this. So we're going to give this a 1. So at this point, I'm going to take stock. So I've used a 1, a 7, a 9, a 3, and a 2. So I've got my 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10 remaining. So Alex Albon, Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz been looking pretty good in FP1, like we talked about. We're going to go with him. But again, this is a close matchup, so we're going to give it a 4. And then Behrman, Esteban Ocon. Behrman just put it in the wall. So I'm going to go with Esteban Ocon here. I'm a little bit more confident here, so I'm going to say a 6. Yuki Tsunoda and Isaac Hadjar. This one could be close, but you know what? I like Yuki. I like Yuki a lot in this matchup. So I'm going to go with Yuki, and I'm going to give him, what do we have here again? I'm going to take stock because you got to make sure you only use everything once. So 6, 4, 1, 7, 9, 3, 2. So we've got 5, 8, and 10. I'm going to go with 8 on Yuki. Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso. Obviously, Lance Stroll. No, I'm kidding. I'm going Alonso, and we're putting a 10 on that one. And then our last number available is going to be a 5. And I'm going to take Nico Hulkenberg and do a 5. So at this point, double check that you've used all your numbers here, right? So you've got your matchups, who you think is going to win. So we've used a 5 once. We use a 10. We use our 8, our 6, our 4, our 1, our 7, our 9, our 3, and our 2. So we've double checked that we used every number once. You might want to keep like a little note next to you, like write down 1 through 10 and kind of cross them off as you go. And then this is important. Make sure you put in your Instagram name. This is the only way that I'm going to be able to kind of designate who did it and who you were when you filled this out. And then you'll click done, and there you go. Then you'll have submitted your confidence pool pick 'em for the week, and you can sit back and hope that you do some good picks there. So let me stop sharing, and I'll stroll on back over here. But yeah, so that's basically how you fill it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's free. You can win $100 in break credit. And one last thing I'm going to say is that, so we're doing this for the first 20 races. Okay. And for the last 4 races, what we're going to do for the last 4 races, it's not $100 in break credit. We are going to wait. So the first 20 races, we're giving away $100 in break credit every single race. That's $2,000 in break credit they're giving away over the course of the season. But then for the last 4, we're going to take from that first 20, we're going to take the top 16 people cumulative score from 1 through 20. From race 1 through 20, the top 16 are going to be seeded into a bracket, and you're going to be matched up. So you're going to be going up against one other person. You're picking confidence pools for that one race. And then if you win, you move on to the next round. And that means that in Abu Dhabi, it's going to be down to 2 people filling out this Survey Monkey. And the winner is going to get $1,000 in break credit. So we're giving away $3,000 over the course of the season. And the first 1 through 20 is going to be fun, but it's not necessarily going to have a bearing on every other race. But make sure you do it every week, because then at the end of the season, cumulative score is going to matter, and you'll get into that bracket if you're one of the top 16. I will let you know, we already have over 110 entries into the first week. So you can wait all the way up until an hour before qualifying. You got it. Like, you can watch FP3 and then you got to fill it out. Like, that is kind of the last time. And then we're going to lock out submissions, and anyone that submits anything, right up to the beginning of qualifying or when qualifying starts, we're not going to count. So just make sure, honestly, at the best plan is probably wait until after FP2. And that's when you get a pretty good idea of where folks are going to be. Analyze that data. You look at what everyone's saying, or just go with your intuition, make your picks, lock them in, and submit it.
Love it. Awesome. Good stuff. That's just another reason to want to tune into all these races as well.
Yeah, right. And we listen here at P1Castle.
And I know you love your bracket. I know you love your brackets. Like,
oh yeah. And we love engagement. We love community engagement. And this is a way to keep the community engaged all throughout the year. I got so many messages earlier today about like, hey, when are you starting the Instagram group chat? Like, when are you starting it? We want to talk about the race. We want to talk about everything. So we're actually going to get that started tomorrow. So when we post this, it's going to get started on Friday. So Friday afternoon, I'm going to create the group chat, and things you can expect us to cover. We're going to be talking about the race weekends, be talking about any breaks or live streams that are going on, any cards on premium consignment, any live events we're doing, so all that kind of stuff. Make sure you keep it civil in the group chat. No fighting, no name calling, none of that. You will get kicked right away. so keep things civil. But yeah, a lot of people have messaged me and asked. So we're not just going to shoot out a spam invite to everybody. So we have it on the story. If you want to be in the group, if you want to get added, shoot me a DM and we'll add you. So excited to get the castle community together.
All right, let's go over some hits that's been, speaking of in the castle.
Yeah, so
lots and lots of hits last week or so.
It's funny. Last week, people were just pursing like crazy, and Julian did 3 cases of Sapphire and hit 4 pads in those 3 cases. One of them was a Lawrence Van Hopen card that we're not going to talk about, but he hit Lando Norris, Speed Demons, 1 of 1 pad Paraja. So that's an absolutely beautiful card on the Speed Demons, 1 of 1. He also hit I think it was what's the next one? Yeah, Charles Leclerc pad Paraja recharged, which is a beautiful card. We had hit the Max Verstappen on day 1 for Spagudigo. So it's nice to hit another one of those for Julian Leclerc. Again, another great driver. And then he also hit, that's all right, we'll go back to it in a minute. But so Jeff did some Dynasty, and Jeff, big Leclerc fan, hit a Charles Leclerc 1 of 1 vertical jumbo nameplate patch. Like, this card is crazy. I think Jeff ended up doing like 4 or 5 Dynasty cases. I think Jeff had the worst Dynasty case I've ever opened in my entire life. It was Kevin Magnussen and 4 principals.
And it wasn't D2's fault.
No, that one was the chat. The chat picked a random number, and he's like, all right, yeah. And there was a 1 of 1 principal. Woo. Bravi was in there. But yeah, 4 principals, and K-Mag was pretty bad. But the Leclerc was pretty nice. And then we just keep going through them. So let's see. What do we got here? We hit a Lance Stroll flag patch. This one was actually for Squirrels cards. Shout out Steven, hit a nice Lance Stroll. So another flag patch. What's funny is that every driver has 2 flag patch 1 of 1s. And it's because they have 2 different like variations of their stance, right? I've now hit both of them this year because I hit Fun Stuff cards, PJ, the other one. And now I hit Squirrels cards, this one. So, and last year I hit the one that he had. So every year now, seems I'm just a magnet for Stroll flag patch cards. So
this is the tiniest Canadian flag I've ever seen.
I know.
It needs like a little tiny really violin small here or something.
Yeah. So these are actually, you can tell these ones are from their Nomex. And on another episode, I'm going to talk about a special Nomex find we got. But yeah, these really small flags are generally from their Nomex, not their actual racing suit, because those flags on the belt are a bit bigger. So this is the other pad that we hit for Julian. So Fernando Alonso pad Paraja Camber 1 of 1. So that means that in 3 cases, the Van Hopen, whatever, but he hit Alonso Camber pad, Lando Norris Speed Demons pad, and Charles Leclerc recharge pad. Absolutely insane. These cards are just gorgeous. And yeah,
always car 14.
Always a card 14. Always card 101.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a really good run for Julian, Jeff, and Squirrels with some nice Dynasty. I think we have some other Dynasty hits on here as well. Yep, this is another one for Squirrels. It was funny because normally Dynasty cases we were selling them for 6,200, and then Jeff came in. He's like, "Oh, why don't you do a bet with me?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And so the bet ended up being, if you get a Lewis or a Max, the case costs 8,000. If you get a Lando, a Leclerc, a Russell, or an Oscar, the case is 6,500. So basically 300 more than it would have been. But if you don't get any of those drivers, those 6 drivers, it's only 4,500.
Oh.
So Jeff does it, and the first case was that principal case with K-Mag, so I lost a bunch of money on that. But then we did end up hitting, quite a few that had one of the 4 drivers, and then we had some Lewis's as well. So in the end, it worked out. And at the end of the day, Like Squirrels hit this insane glove Puma Lewis Hamilton patch, so he's more than happy to pay the extra 1,800 on this one. Yeah, he was super pumped when we hit this. So yeah, that's a monster.
I love the neon glove on this one.
Mm-hmm. Beauty.
Eagles in the chat.
Yeah, Eagles in the chat. So this one was actually from a break from a while ago, from right before the collab with Rated Rips. And on the next episode, I'll have to talk about the collab a little bit more. But we hit Logan Sargent 101 flag patch, baby. Let's go. Look at that entire U.S. flag, too, on the patch. And a sizable one at that. This was a really cool card to hit. And tell you what, Logan, friend of the show, we did a collab with him last year at National. He's not in F1 anymore, but he is in our hearts. And we hit one of his biggest cards out of Dynasty. And honestly, like, this is the biggest you can hit, I think, for Logan, because, you know, he's got some other really cool cards, booklets, one of ones, you know, the nameplate one of ones, etc. But this will absolutely outsell any of them. If you're talking Dynasty, like a flag patch, a full United States flag patch, Logan Sargent will 100% outsell any other Dynasty card. There's just, it won't even be close, because America.
Eagles in the chat.
100%. Yeah, so that was super cool. And then is that it? I think that might be
a couple
it.
more.
Couple more. Okay. Oh yeah. So for the second year running on Fanatics Live, we hit the one of one Charles Leclerc Pad Paraja portrait. Last year, out of 2023, we hit it for Racing Chronos in Case 1, Box 1, Pack 2. This year, it took a little while longer, but we hit this huge monster of a card. Brent Perry said, "This is awesome. This one's on its way to you already." But yeah,
and we prepped
really nice.
the 2023 pad as well.
That's right.
For Racing Chronos.
Heck yeah. Yeah, so this one is on its way to you. And then
this is the last one.
Yeah. So this was funny because, again, Jeff did some Dynasty, Dave was doing stuff, Julian was doing stuff, and my boy Zach, Podium Pulls, not Podium Picks. I kept saying Podium Picks. Podium Pulls was wanting to do a Sapphire case. And so he had actually sent over the money and everything. And Julian, you know how I do it. You know, if you're on the floor, you can keep going. So Julian ended up doing 3 cases. So I was like, hey, man, like, you still with us? He's like, yeah, I'm falling asleep. Like, I'm still here. And I was like, all right, you know, you still want to go? He's like, yeah. I was like, which case you want to do? And he picked case 1. So we're ripping through it, and we see paper. And I was like, oh my God. And, you know, we've seen a few times from different breakers, just a blank piece of paper, right? And like it not being anything. So I'm like, you know, sweating. I'm like going down, just like really slow reveal. And it's like nothing. I'm like, oh my God, don't let this just be a blank piece of paper. And then finally, like the other little kind of piece of paper, like that's stuck on the front is there. And I'm like, oh yes. Okay. So I'm like, redemption. Here we go. We got a redemption. And I was like, all right, this is the big thing. Like, it's a redemption. That's great. But like, what kind of redemption, right? And so we get in and it says, you know, helmet collection, Pad Paraja auto. And we're like, oh, baby, let's go. And at this point, like, we've seen both sides of the coin. The biggest one that had been hit up until this point was the Oscar. The worst one that had been hit was the Stroll. So, I mean, there's still the Sargent out there. There's obviously still Lewis and like tons of other drivers. So I was just praying for someone good, and we hit Lando Norris. So now I can confidently say this is the biggest helmet collection Pad Paraja auto that's been hit thus far. I mean, obviously Max and Max and Lewis and probably Leclerc would all outsell Lando, although Leclerc would be close because I guess the Lando pad did outsell the Leclerc pad, just the straight up helmet collection. Granted, the Lando was on bids and the Leclerc was a or best offer, but they're comparable, right? The Lando and the Leclerc. Obviously, the Max and the Lewis would be much bigger cards than this. But, you know, shout out again. F1 Ben made a nice mock-up for this. Now, again, it's probably not Gonna be on card. We don't know for sure, but most likely not on card. But we made a nice little mock-up for podium polls. We're gonna be posting this on the page. As of right now, we actually haven't posted on the page yet. So if you're listening to this, this might be the first viewing of the card, or our mock-up anyways. But so actually, this is a huge card, right? And one of the things that we pride ourselves on in the P1 Castle is excellent customer service, and especially when it comes to big hits. Like, we hit the Max Verstappen 2020 Superfractor Portrait and the Lewis Hamilton Dynasty. These two cards you see behind us, yeah, we flew them out to Australia, right? Like, we hit the Schumacher M. Shoe. I'm flying to California to deliver that to Dave. We hit this card, we're flying to Detroit, and I'm delivering this card in hand, the redemption to podium polls to my guy Zach. So that'll be really fun. I think I'm doing that in about a week and a half. Flying out, just be a day trip, kind of in and out, but it'd be nice to catch up with him, deliver this card in person. It's a monster hit. So yeah, really happy. Super pumped for him that he stuck with it, stayed up, and he picked the right case, man, because wow, that was epic. Probably the biggest card. Definitely the biggest card that we've pulled in Sapphire this year, if not the biggest card that's been pulled so far. I mean, the Lewis Hamilton helmet collection pad non-auto has been hit. That's arguably a bigger card than this. But outside of that, I mean, whew, what a monster. So it's super cool to pull it, and can't wait for some of these redemptions to come back. We actually have Josh Odeezy hit the Esteban Ocon pad helmet collection auto for BPV, and he sent it over to me to get it redeemed. And once it comes in, then we're going to consign it. But yeah, I'm really excited to get that one in, to get these in. I've got to call Fanatics next week to kind of see where they're at and how long this stuff is going to take to get made and then redeemed. So yeah, super pumped.
Awesome. Congratulations. Indeed. All right. One grading poll to show, and I really specifically wanted to show this card, Scott, because not only have we showed a couple episodes ago, the debate was, what do you do with a Dynasty booklet?
What do you do?
Well,
woo,
begrudgingly,
P1 Castle.
Begrudgingly, P1 Castle Grading used Beckett Grading Services. But on screen here, and the other thing, Beckett, give a facsimile image of the card. I mean, gosh.
That really does bother me that they don't scan in anything, like that. You can't just look up the cert and get a scan of it. That is, oh man, that drives me insane.
So on screen, you can see the 1-of-1 Oscar Piastri Alpine Stars, 1-of-1 booklet that was pulled in the P1 Castle. And it's just in a monster slab. BGS 9.
Thing is huge.
As you can see, the edges were 8.5. Everything else was actually fairly good about the card. But I mean, these booklets, I mean, they crammed them into the one touch. And every time you took one of these out of that one touch, you potentially were dinging the edges. But I will say, all my my feelings about Beckett aside, I mean, it is definitely very secure in here. There's plenty of room up and on top and bottom of the card. So if you're listening to this on audio, you scoot over to YouTube and see what this looks like. We'll find a way to get this.
We'll get that posted. Once you get it over to me, I'll take a nice high res and
we'll F1 Ben will work his magic.
Right.
But very cool. So this is an option for your 2024 Topps Dynasty booklets. Again, we've talked about it. They, you can display it open just like this is on screen and in a one touch, and that also is an option. But this is definitely the most secure way to display it.
So question for you, like, is there any movement at all with the card?
Definitely.
Or is it like very...
Nope. If you look on screen, it's in the sleeve, but then there's also it's definitely locked in
It's like
there. It's
airtight in there. Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's nice. And I will say, like you touched on it, with the edges especially. Like, listen, I've seen a lot of these cards. I feel like this is a mint 9, dude. I feel like that's going to be a very good grade for these booklets. Like, I think a 9 on a booklet is phenomenal. And I guess we'll see, where things go whenever we use
And I think
begrudgingly grading services. But you know,
I will say though too, like the grade is almost irrelevant. For
sure.
these 101s too. So, but yeah, no,
Yeah, but actually,
definitely.
now that I think about it, like what if you've got an out of 5? What if you've got whatever? Like, I wonder what the market will be like. It'll be really interesting, and that'll be something we can kind of watch and talk about as that market develops. Because right now, every single booklet that has been sold, to my knowledge, has sold raw. Right? We've sold some on single streams. We've sold some, on premium consignment. Other folks have been selling them like booklets. They're all selling raw. I haven't seen a single graded booklet sell, and I'd be curious to see how they stack up against raw sales, and like, do people want them in there and do it? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but yeah, something we'll have to watch, especially on like the out of 5 stuff.
Good test case. So, all right, coming up on 40 minutes. This is definitely going to be a shorter episode. So we'll end with looking at some of the breaks you've got coming up.
That's right. So it's been a little while. We did the collab and everything, and we were gone on vacation for a bit. So we actually haven't ran any breaks on Instagram in a little bit. We did a break on Fanatics Live, actually, and then Percy's like crazy, of course, within the past few days. But we haven't done an actual break on Instagram in a little bit. So we've got 3 breaks. We have Echelenza 10 boxes. This will be our last Echelenza break. I'm telling you right now, if you like Echelenza and you want to join in our break, this is going to be our last break. We have 12 boxes left. We're going to rip these 10, and I don't know what I'm going to do the other 2. I'll probably offer them discounted Percy's or something. But this is going to be the last one we have, because the product, in terms of like our price point, we can get it right now, just doesn't necessarily make sense. The demand for it hasn't been as high as other year or as last year. I mean, listen, we've talked about why that is, right? Last year it came out, it was the first new product that we had seen in like 9 months, and it was the first product for 2023. This year it was like the 6th or 7th product for 2024, stacked on top of a bunch of other ones. So, it's not a big surprise, but there's still tons of big cards that are left. Hopefully we can end with a nice booklet or big 101 or something in this 10 boxer. So hop in if you're interested in that. Then we also have a let's see, what's the next one?
Logo
10 box
fractor.
of logo fractor. Yeah, so this is the back half of a case, right? So generally when we do logo fractor, instead of doing the full case, we do a half case at a time, and then we allow folks that ran the first half, if they want to kind of jump on the back half with the same drivers. So a lot of people did. So this one is fairly full. But if you want to hop in on some of the remaining spots, go ahead. This has been a pretty hot case. We haven't seen a rose gold out of this case, and I think we got 1 red, or maybe we haven't seen a red. I have to go back and check. Maybe we haven't seen a red, but I think there were like 3 or 4 blacks in the first 10 boxes, and tons of orange. We had helmet collection. I think we pulled Danny Rick black, orange, and gold 1954 for Spyro. So that was pretty cool. So he needs, I think, just the red now, because I think he already has the 101. So I think he needs just the red. So we gotta pull it for him in the back half. But yeah, so $10 a logo fractor, and then finally a case of Sapphire. Disclaimer for everyone with Sapphire: you're gonna start seeing across the board prices increasing on Sapphire. And that's because all of the waves of product that came out from like Fanatics dropping it on the website and like initial release and all that, like that is basically like all gone. Like, because of how many Percy's we've done and everything, I know our stock is getting low. We at one point we had over 40 cases. Now we're like approaching single digits. So, we don't have a ton of it left. I know everyone else is trying to get more, but the price is so much higher. So prices are probably going to be going up. We have kept our prices relatively the same on these. They will likely be going up. So if you're interested in Sapphire, make sure you hop in. Tons of helmet collection pad autos are still out there. Tons of helmet collection pads are still out there. And of course, one of one portraits and autos as well. So yeah, lots of big stuff left in Sapphire. Really fun product, especially the helmet collection. Drivers, get really good value out of it. So if you want to hop into Sapphire, go ahead. Those are the 3 breaks that we've got posted. We're aiming to run them all. I don't know whether we're going to do them Sunday or Monday. The only reason being is so again, Caitlin, Formula Queen, new P1Castle affiliate breaker, has a huge break on Sunday. So we're probably going to be hanging out with her and her stream, and encouraging folks to take some spots there if there's anything left. And then maybe we'll run ours on Monday. We'll probably do something on Fanatics on Sunday, like Sunday singles or something like that, and talk about the race and maybe do some small little breaks of random team stuff. But this stuff will probably end up being Monday on Instagram. But yeah, looking forward to it, and excited to get some ripping in during race week to talk about the race. I mean, this is our bread and butter, right? Like, this is what we built the castle on, is talking Formula One, talking about the races, talking about the drivers, all the different storylines, everything going on. And that's why we love doing this so much. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was talking to AJ last night. He was showing me his setup that he's been working very, very hard on.
Really
and,
good.
He mentioned, he goes, Bryan, you've been mentioning like you've been podcasting for forever. And I was like, I have, and a lot of different topics and stuff like that. But I'm like, that's just what I can do as a host. Scott is like the F1 encyclopedia. I don't know how you recall so much. Yeah, it is all you got. But I don't know how you recall so many details about races from years past. Like, even thinking myself, like I started watching second race in 2021. Like, I can remember a couple things here and there, but like sometimes I have to really think about like what did happen. So yeah, make a good team. We make a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember everything about Formula One. I forget everything my wife tells me. So it's a mixed bag.
The true queen would probably have that that flipped over and traded at least a few days a week. But
yeah, every now and then I'll remember something.
It is your cross to bear.
That's right.
All right, my friend. About 45 minutes. I think lots of exciting stuff coming up. It is by the time this drops, we'll be on Friday. We've got the race in Melbourne, and it's just an exciting time as a Formula One fan, and certainly now we have the cards to enjoy with our races.
Lots of cards. Almost every single product for 2024. We get finest on the 3rd of April, and that'll be the last 2024 product. And then we'll have everything, and we'll be able to, collect them and buy, sell, trade over the entire course of the season. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
All right. Well, for the first time during race week, collect your cardboard, keep it cardboard.